Hello there, sixth graders and eighth graders. So happy to see you guys today on this wonderful Thursday. I have so many shout outs to give out today. I'd like to give shout outs to Layla, Haley, Kayla D, Jahan, Joaquin, Zairi, Karaya, Tamira. So many of my friends who have been really working hard to catch up on work that they missed earlier since we've left school and to do our work that we're working on right now. Special shout out to Zairi for his personal narrative. You're doing a really fantastic job on that, so keep up the good work. Let's jump into our work for today. So I want to remind you that every day for the last 2 weeks, I've asked you to work on something called your personal narrative. It's found right here in your classwork stream. At this point, we worked on it for about 8 days. And so you should have 7 paragraphs. It should be a true story about your life, and it should have dialogue included in it. I'm really interested to see some of my friends get working on that because I can see all of our worksheets as we're working, and a lot of us have written only 1 paragraph or have written nothing. First drafts are due on Friday, and this is going to be worth 100 points. Your typical classwork page is worth 20 points. Next week will be our revision week, and final drafts will be due next week on Thursday. Let's jump into today's worksheet and see what we can learn and what we can figure out together. All right, first thing you're going to do is your do now. 4 or more complete sentences should be a breeze for you guys. So please answer the question, if you could have anything for dinner tonight, what would you choose? Please go ahead and press pause, write 4 or more complete sentences for that answer, and then press play when you're ready to come back together. All right, so if you are watching me again, that means you finished the do now. Good job. My answer is nachos. Nachos are my favorite food right now. I haven't had them in a long time though, but if I could have anything for dinner, it would definitely be some delicious nachos. Let's jump into our vocabulary and begin with our review. First, we are going to look for the 6th graders on page 152. I'm going to tell you the correct answers for synonyms, and then you are going to complete all of the completing the sentence to prepare for tomorrow's quiz. I would also suggest that you go on Quizlet to study. So the correct answers to synonyms for the 6th grade are implement, bulk, incalculable, compact, indisputable, frigid, abducted, ambiguous, titanic, and strapping. 6th graders, you may pause this video now and go ahead and complete page 153, antonyms and completing the sentence. 8th grade, your correct answers are page 152, abdicate, nauseated, caustic, crusade, negate, mendicants, embargoes, ruse, fallacies, and levity. 8th grade, you're going to complete all of page 153 at this point. When you guys are finished, I want you to check this out. We're going to do a quick mini lesson right now on how to end a story. And then after that mini lesson, you are going to set a timer and work on your personal narrative for 20 minutes. The first draft is due tomorrow. How many paragraphs should it be? Call it out. 7 or more, and it must include dialogue, and it should be a true story. After we do the mini lesson and you write, you're going to set a timer and read for 15 minutes and write me a summary of what you read. Next week on Monday, there are going to be books available for you guys to pick up at school. For 6th graders, the special book I've ordered for you guys is PSB 11, which is the sequel to One Crazy Summer. So you can see what happens for Delphine, Vanetta, and Fern next. For my 8th graders, the book I've ordered for you guys is called The Book Thief. It is a really cool young adult book about the Holocaust. And it involves a lot of magic and a lot of imagination and also some really cool, interesting stories that build on the work that we did in Night. It is not quite as scary or intense or difficult to read as Night. So it's going to be something really fun that you can just sit back, put your feet up, and read for 15 minutes a day. All right, let's get started on our writing mini lesson. All right, guys, so check it out right here. This is our list of dynamic ways to conclude a story. So these are my suggestions for how you should wrap up and complete your story to make sure that it's very memorable for your reader. Sometimes we end our stories with things like, and that's what happened, or, and the moral is, and There's really some exciting ways to do this that will make us feel more like professional writers. So the first one right here, you can see my cute little mouse pointing towards it, says that you could end a story with dialogue. The example is, the nickname TJ is after my father, Grandpa said. TJ stands for Tin Man Jr. You could end your story with an action. I drove off into the sunset, confident that I would continue learning about my own strengths. You could use irony to end your story. Max, I think that you would really, really like this. Irony is sort of like a form of sarcasm. And then, so an example of that is, I have an appointment with him tonight in Damascus. This one I think that you guys would be really, really strong at. So you could end your story with a reflection that conveys your feelings. This matches closest to what we usually do. The score of the game showed that they lost the game, but in his heart, Robert knew that he had won something much more important, friendship. The reason I particularly love that piece, that version of ending a story, is because it does have the restatement of a theme. So if you have a younger kid reading your story and you want to make sure that they learn the lesson you're teaching them, using a reflection like this makes sure that that gets into their brain. And then you could also try bringing it full circle. So referencing something that you did all the way at the beginning back at the end. For example, it says, oh, and I'm certainly sleeping better too. So that's an example about someone who talked about conquering their fears because they couldn't sleep. Here are some tips that you should consider for ending your story. First, provide a plot resolution that flows naturally from the events. You don't want the end of your story to feel like a Post-it note that was just stuck on your story that's like, done. You want it to flow naturally and be a piece of your narrative. Second, you want to think about the feelings, thoughts, or questions that you want readers to continue contemplating when they finish reading your narrative. Just like when we finished our most recent books, we weren't like, nah, I'm done with that. I'll never think about it again. We now think about responsibility and family and things like that in a different way. How can you end your story to make it so that readers feel that way? Try not to end on a cliche. A cliche is something that's sort of like overly said so that you are like, oh, okay, I've heard that before. So an example is, he woke up to discover it was all a dream. Another example is, we lived happily ever after, right? Those are cliches. Avoid those, just because the more expert of a writer you are, the less likely you're going to want to use something that everybody else uses. And then finally, remember that your ending doesn't have to be happy. A lot of the things that we've read together have been very true and honest stories. So it's okay if the end of your story is sad. You can still learn things from sad stories. So your task right now is to get to your personal narrative, make sure it's 7 or more paragraphs, make sure it has dialogue in it, and then use these tips to write a really, really magnetic ending to your story. After that, I'd like for you to please read for 15 minutes. And after you've done that, you're going to fill in the square on your graphic organizer with the summary. If your summary is 3 words, that's a problem because you're in 6th grade and 8th grade. So please make sure your summary is more than 3 words. All right, have a good rest of your day. I look forward to seeing you all soon. Bye.